Hey man, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It's great to be able to catch up again and talk about a brand new album.
Good to see you, Josh. How have you been?
Um, doing good right now, and with that, it helps to have like some new music to be able to check out. It's over the last couple years since the last release of American Amadeus. Times have been a little turbulent, so I kind of needed something more fun. I needed something more happy, something to be able to enjoy. And I think that's what's going on here with the Big Easy. It's like when I listen to this, it puts a smile on my face and it makes things a little better.
All right, mission achieved, I'd say. Thank you for this.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad to do it. So, with all of that in mind, what was it like to be able to work on this album?
I mean, as you just mentioned, we wrote this sunny album in the middle of dark times. We produced over here in Europe, mostly in Germany, and 1 year ago, it was hell. I mean, everything was gray and rainy, and like pandemic was still striking hardcore. You couldn't go out, and the touring for American Amadeus was just canceled. I mean, we started in Hamburg, in Cologne. We just had some beautiful shows, and it just crumbled away. The more we went miles on the autobahn, the more it just crumbled away, and we were highly depressive. And I suppose writing the Big Easy was some kind of cure for us. Otherwise, we I don't know would have been broken. And the idea, the concept was right away, let's dream ourselves away into a dreamy, fantastic wonderland beyond pandemic times, whenever that would have been. And now, I mean, now we're here. And it really shows a simple fact of human life. Never stop to believe, always think up front, be optimistic, because no one of us would have imagined that we're selling tickets big time now. We're going on tour in 2 weeks.
Oh, and I'm so glad to see that too. I mean, you were able to take what was a bad situation for everyone around the world and for yourselves and for the fan base and everything else going on. You were able to take something dark and be able to make something more out of it. You were able to find some brightness in all of this darkness. You were able to write some really fun music in different styles. I mean, whether you're adding horn sections, whether you're able to write up like a straight 80s anthems, whether you're just expanding the sound of the band. And it's so great to see that. And instead of, completely flipping on a dime and making a doom album because of how sad and depressed everything is.
I mean, you probably wouldn't have expected a Doom album by John Diva, but I mean, it wasn't on the table, but interesting idea actually. But exactly what you say. It was self-care, and I had a good time. While I love to be in the studio, and the minute that we entered the studio and started with a pre-production, I could build on a dream, and building up a dream with a band that you already know for such a long time, and you've been going through good and bad times together. At that time was good. It's like brothers. It's like people who share the same vision, or who are happy to argue with you about the vision, about the idea, which vision it would be. But at the beginning, we knew the title. JJ came up and said, no matter what we do, but I want a orange, juicy, fresh summer album, and it's gonna be called The Big Easy. And we said, no doubt about it, let's do it. And so we had we had this billboard saying The Big Easy, and we could just like swim towards this idea.
And I love the music video for that reason as well too. I mean, it perfectly captures everything that you wanted right from the beginning.
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny because obviously we wanted to check out some really nice mansion close to the coast of Croatia. So we made it to Croatia, but the villa wasn't really the one we expected. So everything around was a bit shitty and looked like Albania instead of Croatia. But I think that made exactly the charm of it, because big motorboats, everybody can do that. But finding the glamour and peace and love in the smaller things, where maybe not everything looks perfectly fine. That was also part of the Big Easy. You decide whether you're cool and if you want to feel relaxed and good, no matter the surrounding. I mean, we have to live up to this. Not everything is perfect in this world anymore. It's probably never going to be that way again. Yeah, thank you for seeing that. I appreciate what you're saying.
Oh, for sure. And the more I listen to it, the more I'm able to grasp more of that as well. I mean, of course, you got the singles, and there's some great videos on there. I mean, it looked like beautiful locations you were able to record the singles on. But it's just like the deeper tracks as well too. Like the more that you listen throughout the album, I mean, there's some really hard hitting lyrics going on throughout this album, despite it being a more positive and uplifting album. It's like you're still coming in with some really hard hitting lyrics.
Well, that touches my heart because I was really ready to open up. I mean, there's some really personal lyrics on there, and I think there was also the feeling that we wanted to reach out to our fans and to everybody who's into rock music, and to write some lyrics that everybody can uh, rely to and adjust to, because that was a time where we had to believe, where we had to stay together, where we experienced hardship and heartbreak. And for example, Wild at Heart is a very personal song about my ex-lover. And I'm feeling it's the time to share these moments, even as a glamour boy.
And it again, it's just like whether it's lyrically, whether it's musically, thematically, what I've always appreciated about the band is being able to, ever since the first album, just being able to spread your wings and being able to show all these different sides of yourself. Whether you're doing something more straight ahead, whether you're doing something a little heavier, whether you're doing something a little more uplifting, like on this album, you're still able to show these other sides of you as well, and you're able to sing along with those songs, and especially when it's something like a relationship which can hit you so hard, it's able to impact so many people, and they're able to appreciate it in a cathartic way.
Very, very true. And thank you again for this. I mean, I can really see that you heard the album and also compared it to the other albums, because I mean, the first album, maybe to have a quick look back, was probably the idea, now that I'm looking back, to write all the songs that didn't make it on the major albums in the 80s. That was the concept. The second album was to spread our wings in all kind of directions, back to the 70s a bit, and to be more flamboyant, like a song American Amadeus can just simply be written by John Diva. And I just mean this in a true way. Nobody, because it's an alter ego of an alter ego, so it belongs to the story. And there's some other songs that might have been on the B or C side of a David Lee Roth album, so that was pretty variable, diverse. And now we try to refocus and to say, let's make a rock album that means something to us in this moment. So, and we really wanted to be the sincerest songwriters we could be at that moment, and we were really hard on us to say, okay, this album, this song is good, but it's not good enough, and this song is brilliant, but it doesn't fit the other songs, because we have another idea how that album should maybe conceptual sound.
Yeah, and that is something that is so important as well too. I mean, if a song doesn't make the album, it doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that it doesn't fit necessarily the mold of what's going on, especially if you want it to be a full album, not just a collection of songs. And, something like that might work out in a future release of some kind. But especially with what I'm hearing here from start to finish, it feels like all these songs are meant to be together in this way, in this track order, and just give you all the feelings that it gives you.
Thank you. I mean, that was, to be very honest, in the end, with American Amadeus, it was exactly what you said. It was rather a collection of songs. And I think a lot of bands do this nowadays, because how you consume music via Spotify, via streaming, etc., you don't necessarily need an album. But then again, we come from a culture, rock and roll, we're still album orientated. And that's where I'm from. And I do want to write music that fits an album. At least we wanted to do this time, and to show us that we can write an album, still have good songs, but have a general meaning and message all around it. And we get the feedback from the reviews right now that we succeeded with this.
Oh yeah, and I absolutely have to add my name to that as well too. I mean, again, from start to finish, and I'm always going to be one of those people that enjoy the whole album from start to finish. I just don't want to pick out a single or two. I want to be able to enjoy everything from start to finish. And the more that artists are able to still appreciate the fact that there are people like myself out there, and for yourselves as well too, because like you mentioned, you want to be able to write something like that where you can appreciate something from start to finish, and you're able to appreciate singles, the non-singles, intros, whatever it is. Like, it's a whole collection, it's a whole entity, and you want to be able to appreciate that.
Very, very true. And of course, yeah, it's, you know, if you have done your third album with the same lineup, yeah, you're a grown band, you know, with a you have all the difficulties, you still have them, but you're able to communicate about them. And it has been a major teamwork. You know, we have 3 songwriters, JJ Love, Snake Rocket, and myself. And instead of fighting for my idea, I was trying to offer help with the other ideas, and the other way around, because Wild at Heart, which I mentioned before, was something I just came up with the guitar and the lyrics. And in the beginning, it probably sounded more like Velvet Underground or something. And the guy said, we don't really see that on a John Diva album. I said, yeah, but the feeling is right. And we just need to make it sound like us. And at a certain point, Snake said, I think I exactly know what you're looking for. Let me do it. And he came back with a drum beat, like the Tico Torres drum beat, and with a, yeah, I mean, it kind of sounds, somebody wrote, it sounds like the best Bon Jovi song since Faith No More. Since Keep the Faith, Keep the Faith. I don't know if that is true, but he put it into a sound that fits John Diva. And the other way around, you know, with a Boys Don't Play, that was a song by Snake. I tried to give it a special touch. I mean, you mentioned the horn sections, to give it a special touch by the lyrics, which are not the ones you might expect from a band that refers to Sunset Strip 80s cock rock, because it's rather flamboyant and diverse.
And I was going to point that out later, but I'm so glad that you brought it up now. I think that is one of the highlights of the album. Musically, I love what's going on there because it has a great expansive sound to it, but lyrically as well too. I mean, especially with the acceptance in the world that has happened in this century, especially over the last decade or so, and just being able to appreciate that more flamboyance that is going on in the world and more acceptance of all of that. I'm so glad to see you guys put out a song like that.
Yeah, it's I would also say it's almost a political statement. I mean, you know, we see the West that we are all so proud of is crumbling away, and it's getting more illiberal in so many ways. And so I do think that glam rock, or whatever you want to put a label onto, has a certain call to duty. I mean, it might sound a bit too over the top, but I mean that in that sense that a John Diva show is also a space for everybody who feels invited and who wants to be there, and he wants to dress up any way he or she likes. And there's no boundaries or borders. It's just rock and roll, and everybody is welcome to the show.
And I love hearing that. And I wish there was more bands that would take on that mission statement. I understand that it can be hard to make that kind of change if you were one way and you want to be able to change, or if you feel like it might be detrimental to your career, or whatever the case is. But I love the fact that you want to be able to have that appreciation for everybody. Everybody's welcome at a show, and that's all the more reason to go check you out. I mean, musically, everything that you could appreciate about hard rock and metal is shown in one of your shows, and the fact that you're showing that with the messages in the lyrical content as well too is so important.
Yeah, I agree. And this is something where you can make a change. Obviously, you know, with the music, we are still within the borders of the genre. Of course, we're reaching out to blues, but others have done that before. We're reaching out a bit to metal, but you know, it's not that we create a whole new sound. We have a Rockets of Love sound, and that is getting more signature from album to album. And we have our own world to experience. But lyrical wise, you can do a lot of different things. You can make a difference, because mostly you're still in a cliche, or somebody just writes a lyric because he needs something to sing about, or there's other people who just like totally drift into comedy, and everything is fine and has a place in the world. It's not for me. I'm trying to entertain myself. I want to see what's in there.
So thinking about that as well too, I mean, obviously when you have three songwriters in the band and you're able to contribute all of these different things, what was it like when you were fine tuning everything for this album? Was there like any major changes that happened to the album, like any particular songs or production or anything like that?
You mean on that album now?
Or on this album? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, let me think. I mean, Wild at Heart, I already mentioned that. So that really traveled. Big Easy title track, typical JJ Love signature songwriting. That song was there. He just like made it that way and said, sing something. And so he writes mostly pretty riff driven songs with a very beautiful bridges where you say, okay, where are you taking me now? Like a harmonic thing that you wouldn't expect. So this is really a signature JJ Love move, and I love that song. So that was ready. God Made Radio, we worked hard on that because we wanted to give something back to the most romantic thing there is, which is a radio station that plays rock music, and you just like turn it on in the middle of the night and suddenly you have a blind date with your favorite song. So we had a concept, and we were lyrically wise, I knew what I wanted to do, but musically wise, we had that riff. So it took us quite a long time. So it's more built and constructed that you would maybe think. It wasn't that easy to put all the parts together. Then there was Boys Don't Play. That it wrote itself, but lyrically wise, I wanted to make something different. Thunder, which is a song that is calling the Leopards in the back a bit because it's always an homage to the Leopards, was all about sound. So that was a song that you really needed to produce. But in the end, I would say the overall thing is that almost every song of that album works if you just play it with an acoustic guitar, even though the sound adds it to what it is. And I think that speaks for me that we really were tight on the songwriting this time. And we mostly did that, sitting there and saying, okay, is that chord good? Can I sing it? What is the best tune for my voice? Okay, let's put it up or down. Let's transpose it. So the very simple songwriting techniques, we put that at the beginning and the rest could follow. And last but not least, we really try to strip every instrument down to the necessary minimum, to say we don't necessarily need 8 guitars to make a big wall of sounds. 2 guitars is enough. Just push them on the right moment. Do it in the mix.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I really notice with the instrumentation, and I love the fact that you focus so much on if it would work in an acoustic realm as well too, but the fact that you also simplify everything as well too. That way you don't need to have guitar over guitar over guitar, or having the most amount of drum fills and additional percussion or anything else that goes into it. I mean, it's the band playing these songs, and that's sometimes all you need.
It very much is. It very much is. And of course, as a young band, you try to take the opportunities and possibilities in the studio, and mostly you just overdo it. And, we did too. And in the end, I mean, a rock song doesn't need that much. It's more that you really focus on what it needs. And the same goes for the singing, You can, of course, double and triple all your voices, but mostly if you want to have character in it, you just keep it with one voice and just do some, backings, and that's it.
Yeah, and that goes back to earlier when we were talking, although I wanted to bring this up more, is I really feel like this album has the most authenticity behind it as well too. I mean, it's the most refined, it's the most stripped down, but it also feels like it's the most authentic version of the band so far. I mean, you can hear that lyrically, of course, you can hear that musically, because it's not overdubbed completely and resampled. It's the band playing the music, and it's a great representation of where the band is right now.
Yeah, we feel this too, and it's good to get all this positive energy from you now and from the people that I've been talking to, because we tour in 2 or 3 weeks, and that's a whole different thing, because I mean, about that. There's the writing. We started that January 22. There's the production we did until June. So we wrote and produced it within 6 months, and then you start shooting some videos, and then you just like simply are waiting, and then the tour gets confirmed, and you start slowly to go back to your songs and say, oh, they're not that bad, and you're trying to learn your lyrics and to do rehearsals. We all did this now, and so there's another 2.5 weeks, and we finally do it on stage for the first time, and it's this thrill. And because we haven't been on stage, I mean, we have, but in that way that people can buy tickets and they're coming, it's been a while. It's been 3 years, and so we're super excited, and in a positive way, we're nervous, but in a good way, because we want to go out there and see whether that new material works the stage as well as it does the album.
Oh yeah, and I can imagine how exciting that is too. I mean, especially when you are putting together the set list, like what songs from the past do you want to include? What new songs are you going to try out? If something doesn't work, what are you going to switch it out for? I mean, there's so many variables that go into it, but the fact that, again, like you mentioned, it's been 3 years, you get to be able to go back on stage to present a brand new album, a brand new album cycle, being able to get all this touring and shows going on. I mean, that's going to be really exciting, and it's just going to be so cool to see what songs you guys play live.
Oh yeah. And I mean, with 3 albums in your back, you can make a great show. I mean, we're gonna probably do a 2 hour set, because afterwards, it's everything is said and done after 2 hours. And of course, we're gonna, feature songs from all the 3 albums, and maybe 1 or 2 cover versions. Let's see. And yeah, it's gonna be a packed show, and I'm happy to go back until Mama Said, because of course, that's already classics now for our fan base and ourselves, and revisit some of these songs and see how it does. And in a way, it's like looking at a kiddo, and he's going to school now, first grader maybe, but he is going to school, so he had some years, and you know how he's doing, and yeah, you're just like a proud parent, say, okay, came out pretty neat.
Oh, so cool. I want to go back to what you brought back a little bit ago, where you mentioned how you wanted so many of these songs to work in acoustic setting. Do you ever see playing some of these songs in that acoustic setting, or maybe releasing some of these songs in an acoustic version?
I mean, releasing, let's see, this could be maybe some question the label is going to ask us to do. We have no plans so far. But for example, back in the days, that was a song I was dwelling on for weeks and weeks. So that took me some time. And it was only that I brought it to a jam session that we really somehow broke it up and added so much more to it. And we really, I measured every word for the lyric to put in or not to put in. So that was really craftsmanship and a lot of work. But that was something we only jammed on the acoustic guitar. So that is a song that I remember that we were really working out on the campfire, more or less.
Oh, that's so cool. And I'm just picturing that in my head right now about how that original version would be, and then being able to see how it translated into the album, and then potentially soon in the live setting. I mean, not trying to give anything away about what would be in the set list, but it's again, it's just wrapping everything to the beginning. I just love the fact that you were able to take all these dark times and be able to do something so positive with it musically, finding out more of who the band really is after this third album now, lyrically, everything that you want to be able to showcase and stand for who you are, and the live shows coming up as well too. I mean, I imagine there's a lot of great plans that's going to be coming up in the future. Being able to do some 2-hour headlining shows, being able to showcase the so much of the band, and then everything else coming up in the future as well too, as far as like future plans. It's in a very exciting time, it sounds like.
It is. It's like, it's like springtime, which really it is. Everything is opening up. Options are back on the table. And of course, I mean, I can see that a lot of promoters still have problems. Everything has gotten so much more expensive. It's hard to find the crew. So all the problems that, were mounting up within the last years are still on the table, but there is a lot of optimism. And around the John Diva crew, there's a lot of optimism, and we can't wait to start.
Oh, that's so awesome to hear. And I mean, again, the fact that the Big Easy just comes out in just a few short weeks now as well too. I mean, the fact that I've been so gracious to be able to check this out and spin it as many times as I have, being able to talk to you about it, and I imagine all the fans who have appreciated the singles that have been released so far, they only have a few more weeks to wait to be able to hear the whole thing in its whole cohesiveness. And it's going to be great to see what that reaction is, because I think if people enjoy the single so far, they're gonna love the album.
Oh, I'm sure, but it's you guys reassure us now, and it's great talking to you guys up front now, because yeah, I mean, it's soon gonna be there, and I love these times. Maybe in a couple of months we're gonna speak again, and I'm not in songwriting. I'm not expecting an album to come out. It's amazing times, and I try to take it all in. And this is something of growing older as well. It's not given. It's something that you should really appreciate with every minute, and with every beat of your heart. And I can really do this. And this is also, if there's any good about the pandemic years, is that I learned to be thankful for those moments, because I know they don't come by the dozen.
Oh, for sure. And the fact that you're able to take these times, rather than let them destroy you or want to be done with music, or any other things that could happen dramatically because of the pandemic, you're able to take positive out of it and make such a positive, uplifting, still hard hitting, but overall just welcoming album. Being able to line up a tour that's starting in just a couple weeks. I'm sure every other show that's going to be coming up to follow, and of course the album coming out on the 17th of March. I mean, there's so many great things that have come out of this, and it just takes that tenacity of yourself and the band to be able to put this together. And it could have went so many other bad ways, but it feels like it went in such a great way for yourself, for the listeners like myself, for the fan base, for everyone out there. It feels like the band is going in the right track, and I'm so excited to see what's going to be happening in the future as well.
Great, Josh. Thank you so much for this. It's I have nothing more to say to that, but just agree. And you hang in tight there. It's great that you appreciate music, and that you follow music, and that you spread the word. And I want to thank you for this. And hang in tight there. I mean, we're not going to be in the States this time again. It's a huge way over to the States. Obviously, we're still focusing on Europe, but one day maybe we can make it. I wish for. That's a wish I'm really having.
Oh, for sure. And I just love the fact that you're able to get these shows out there. And if I have to live on YouTube clips or a potential live album or official professional live videos, whatever happens, I'm satisfied until you guys make it over here to the States.
All right. One day soon, hopefully. Hey man, in 2 minutes I got to jump to the next interview. Just saying, in case.
Oh, sure.
Just so you know.
Oh, sure. I was just about to wrap everything up. It felt like it was coming to a good end. But yeah, again, the Big Easy coming out 17th of March. I love what's going on with this album, and it's great to been able to catch up with you for all of this. I mean, I've been able to talk to you for every single release so far, and it's great to be able to continue that trend. And I'm so excited for all these awesome things that are happening for you. And again, I'm so excited to see what's going to be happening from the fallout from this album and the future.
Hey Josh, you know, I thank you for that tradition that we have. Let's keep it like that. We soon gonna talk maybe for the fourth album or for something else that's coming up. And thanks again for hanging in there, spreading the word, and stay safe, stay rock and roll, and all the best. John
Uh,
Diva loves America.